Everybody discusses Mike Tyson's toughness, his fists, his knockouts, the intimidation. But what if I told you the scariest version of Tyson wasn't the one entering the ring? It was the one in a prison cell reading, all in effort of strengthening his mind, whereas others only focused on their bodies. Tyson learned from great men, such as Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, and Tolstoy. This is what made him terrifying in the ring. That's the part of Tyson no one talks about, where he used a rough part of his life to earn a PhD in war, suffering, and power. Let's get into how Mike Tyson built the most unlikely arsenal of his career, his mind. When Mike Tyson hit rock bottom, it wasn't like a movie. It was a cold prison cell, a shattered ego, and pure silence. There wasn't his usual entourage, no roar from the crowd. Just regret and silence. And in that silence, Tyson found something unexpected. Books! He started with a dense read, Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, not on someone's orders, but because pain knows pain. It wasn't just a book, it was a life experience in just a few pages instead of years. War and peace didn't satisfy Tyson, it made him think. These authors didn't write of triumph. They wrote of defeat, guilt, and redemption. But most important to Tyson was the conversation on how to become human after pushing your primal self. Tyson had risen higher than almost anyone ever, yet fallen so fast. He required more than a trainer, he required a visionary. Tolstoy provided words for his suffering, and Dostoevsky provided the courage to confront it. This made the world's most brutal man look inward, not to escape, but to understand. This was the beginning of something new. Tyson wasn't training any longer, he was transforming. Not to become a better boxer, but to become like the man who knew why he boxed in the first place. And that kind of clarity. You can't manufacture it, you have to work for it one page at a time. Everybody thought Tyson was all about raw power, but while everybody was focused on his fists, Tyson was reading minds. In prison, he didn't just read, he planned with the help of Machiavelli's The Prince, Sun Tzu's The Art of War. These books didn't just teach politics or military tactics, they taught control, psychological warfare, and how to break an opponent before the first attack. Machiavelli said it best, "It is better for a ruler to be feared than loved, if one must choose." And Tyson made that a brand. Sun Tzu said the greatest victories are won without fighting. Tyson made that a reality. Most fighters fought for ego and praise, but these lessons pushed Tyson beyond that. It taught him about war and how to win. He turned the ring into a battlefield, not just physically, but mentally. He strategized his opponents like Sun Tzu. Tyson scouted for weaknesses, patterns, and insecurities. And when he found them, he let them crumble under their own fear, allowing the fight to end before stepping into the ring. The knockout. Just a signature. It wasn't trash talk, it was chaos designed by Machiavelli. Tyson instilled fear, managed perception, and beat his opponents with tactics he learned from books. By the time his opponent was touching gloves, the fight was already over. Because Tyson wasn't playing checkers, he was playing chess. And he learned the rules in a cell, with nothing but silence and strategy. That's what most people miss. Tyson didn't just fight harder, he fought smarter, and that's what made him terrifying. Mike Tyson didn't just look up to Alexander the Great, he saw himself in him. Both were prodigies, both were conquerors, and both were cursed with how quickly they achieved everything they ever wanted. Tyson was just 20 years old and had already ascended to the world's highest pinnacle, the unbeatable and invincible heavyweight champion. Everyone fantasizes being the best, but ignores what happens after you reach the top. They forget the target on your back only gets bigger. Envy sharpens its knives, legacy starts to rot, and peace becomes a myth. Because the only worthy opponent is your own temptations. Alexander the Great wept when there were no worlds left to conquer, and Tyson felt the same. He had the belts, the riches, and praise, yet he still felt empty, because when you achieve a goal, the purpose leaves with it. That's when the ruin began. With no adversary to fight, the remaining war was within him. That's why Tyson continued reading about conquerors. Not to fantasize, but to decipher a problem what only great men face. Why does greatness seem so hollow? What does one do when the mountain climbs away beneath one's feet? Tyson was more than a boxer. He was a man burdened with the weight of a life that reached its peak before it had meaning. And that's a weight most people can't imagine. But Alexander could. And on those pages, Tyson found a reflection. The library wasn't just an escape, it was a means to comprehend the mess. A way to reclaim himself in his career. And if you could benefit from these teachings, check the links to these books in the description down below. By the time Mike Tyson was released from prison, something had shifted. Certainly his body was still a machine, but his mind, that was something else now. sharper, heavier, and ever more dangerous. Tyson didn't just serve time, he studied. While others trained their bodies, he trained his judgment. While others flexed their ego, he built self-control. He didn't leave prison broken. He left with the one thing no opponent ever saw coming: inner control. Most fighters train their bodies, but Tyson prepared for war. And warlords don't fight for applause, they fight with tradition for honor. They build discipline, not biceps. People still go on and on about Tyson's knockouts, but his real glow-up didn't happen in the ring. It happened in isolation and silence, when his fists were down, but his mind was open. You see, real power isn't in what you can do, it's restraint and focus and awareness. And those books didn't teach Tyson how to hurt. They taught him how to see. So Tyson's greatest asset wasn't his fists, it wasn't his speed or intimidation. It was the mind behind it all, something no one can take away from you. There's a version of Mike Tyson that most people never get to see. It's not the fighter, not the inmate, it's the man after all of that. The one who came back, with understanding. The war wasn't in the ring anymore, it was between who he used to be and who he was becoming. And he didn't win that war by swinging harder, he won by thinking deeper, slower, and smarter. That's what reading taught him. That power isn't what you show to the world, it's what you build when no one's watching. And that's the most significant portion. The glow-up didn't happen when he got rich or when he knocked someone out. It happened when he read a book in a cell and started asking better questions. Because a man who knows how to fight is dangerous, but a man who knows why he fights? That's rare. You don't need to be Tyson to evolve, you just need to start, read, reflect, rebuild, and maybe, just maybe, your strongest weapon isn't what you think it is.